But long story short, Baltimore State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby has been trying to convict Keith Davis Jr. of the murder of Kevin Jones, right? This young man who was a security guard working up at Pimlico Racetrack up in Baltimore, where they run the Preakness. So Marilyn Mosby's office tried Keith Davis Jr. 4 times, okay? Out of those 4 trials, it was a combination of mistrials, and the last trial, the 4th trial, Keith's conviction was overturned. He was convicted of murder, but 2 weeks ago, a judge overturned that conviction. Excuse me. And when we spoke with Kelly Friday, Kelly said that Keith had a bond hearing, or was on the calendar to have his bond heard, right? So he could come home. His conviction was overturned, meaning that he was convicted of nothing, right? So why was he still in jail? While Kelly was on our program, guys, I mean, it's pretty fucking crazy. While Kelly was here Friday, during the show, Marilyn Mosby's office announced new charges for Keith Davis Jr. And when I say new charges, I don't mean the same old charges that she had been trying to bring against Keith, or rather a continuation of trying him for the murder of Kevin Jones. No, she didn't bring murder charges for Kevin Jones against Keith Davis Jr. She charged him with attempted murder for a incident that happened in jail 1 year ago. This incident happened June of 2020. And Marilyn Mosby has now charged Keith Davis Jr. with attempted murder, guys, while Kelly was on the program 2 weeks after a judge overturned his conviction. And, you know, let Kelly tell it, and really let the information guide you to this conclusion that clearly Marilyn Mosby has a personal axe to grind against the Davises, both Keith and Kelly now, it would seem, right? Go back and watch Friday's show. It is very important, but I want us to take a look at a video that Kelly posted to her Twitter account, her Twitter page, on Friday evening after the show was over and after it had been announced that these new charges were coming against Keith Davis Jr. Today, if we could look at that, please.
Hi guys, I know that I was supposed to be enjoying my vacation, but unfortunately I've just gotten the unfortunate news that Marilyn Mosby is continuing to be vindictive and retaliate against Keith. Keith is now being charged with attempted murder on a detainee who threatened my life and attacked him after the great widespread protests outside of MRDCC last June. I just want the city to know that this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with this powerful woman who continues to use the criminal justice system that she is supposed to be shepherded on to attack Keith, a police brutality victim. That is sad, that is unfortunate, and it is downright criminal and unethical. But you know what? These charges are ridiculous, they're untrue, and we will fight to the fucking finish.
You heard it right there. That's Kelly Davis, Keith Davis Jr.'s wife. Please go follow Kelly on Twitter. Her Twitter handle is 50 Shades of Kells. The number 50 Shades of KELLZ. Kelly lays it out more clearly in her tweets and in her screenshots, because, you know, this lady's studying law now, so she got her receipts ready. But she lays it out why these charges are bogus and why apparently when this incident happened in June of last year, everybody knew about it, right? Kelly said from the Department of Corrections knew, she was alerted, Keith's counsel was alerted, Larry Ho, the governor's office was alerted, Marilyn Mosby knew, like everybody knew about this. So why did Marilyn Mosby sit on these charges or sit on this incident for an entire year, but only decide to bring these charges after her bogus fucking conviction against Keith was overturned 2 weeks ago, y'all? Now, for our Texas people, there's a case in Texas that I actually want to look into where a Dallas prosecutor has been apparently disbarred as a result of bullshit, probably not so dissimilar from what Marilyn Mosby is doing. It is absolutely time for elected officials and people in leadership positions in Baltimore City to call for Marilyn Mosby to step the fuck down. Seriously, because if she is using her office in this way to persecute and prosecute innocent people, right? Because if he was guilty, why didn't she have the goods, right? Why does her office and Baltimore police have to use fucked up witnesses, right? Again, go back and watch Friday's show. Kelly lays it all out. But why does the why do the prosecutors have to use fucked up witnesses, play funny style with the evidence, right? Because if he was guilty, then it would be pretty cut and dry, right? Unless they're saying Keith is just some criminal mastermind who just keeps staying one step ahead of the system. Like, which is it? But it is honestly quite heartbreaking that Keith and Kelly have to continue to deal with this. And really, y'all, again, if anybody tries to sing the praises of Marilyn Mosby in your presence, I implore you to please do some gentle correction, and maybe some not gentle correction if it is warranted. Don't let this fairy tale of a progressive prosecutor, really any progressive prosecutor, right? I mean, again, we had this conversation. The job of prosecutors is to put people in jail. Justice be damned, right? It's a numbers game for them. They just want bodies in the books. It's not so much about who is actually innocent and who is actually guilty. But clearly, Marilyn Mosby has some sort of either personal axe to grind or some sort of vendetta against the Davises. And unfortunately, they are being made to suffer as a result. And today, there was a press conference outside of the Mitchell Courthouse in Baltimore City. I was scouring the interwebs trying to find video from this presser because it seemed like it was a little crazy. Now, some organizers spoke. I think it was organizers from both Organizing Black in Ujima, Maryland. Some people spoke. The woman who represented Keith in I think at least two of his criminal murder trials spoke. But anyway, and Lisa was down there. Shit, I actually meant to holla at Lisa. Lisa was just with us Friday, so I didn't want to double dip with Lisa. But Lisa was at this press conference where, again, this was a press conference of supporters for Keith Davis Jr., right? And by accounts that I saw on Twitter, about a dozen police officers showed up and threatened to shut the press conference down, y'all. It is wild. It is wild. Like, the police are even unabashedly intimidating Keith Davis Jr. supporters at a press conference, supporting him and denouncing Marilyn Mosby's new frivolous charges against Keith. So I'm very glad that the good folks over at Black Power Media, shout out to Dr. Jared Ball. I know Jared Ball talked about Keith Davis Jr. on the Remix Morning Show today. Please, you guys, I need y'all to know Keith's name like y'all know other folks' names. You feel me? Like, Keith is alive and not for lack of trying by Baltimore Police Department. They was absolutely trying to take Keith up out of here. They allowed Keith, as they did thousands of others incarcerated during this pandemic, to contract COVID and have minimal treatment for COVID. He was not doing well when he contracted COVID. And according to Kelly, he's not doing well health-wise now. All the more reason for him to come home. All the more reason for Marilyn Mosby to drop this vindictive case that she has going on. I'm saying against the Davises, plural, because, again, Marilyn Mosby acts stank when Kelly is brought up. She really does. Y'all saw the clip if you watched Friday's show. So this is not just about Keith at this point. So please, y'all, uplift his name, uplift the hashtag Free Keith Davis Jr. And please follow this case closely because it's not over. It is very much still ongoing.